Today for Devotions with Daniella, we are reading from Daniella's book, Uncultured. This is the Army. This chapter is called Drink the Kool-Aid. I have just grown up in the Children of God cult. Left that, got myself an education, gotten to the Army. I'd gotten used to excelling at everything I did through sheer will, but somehow it was never enough. I never felt like I would be caught up with everything I'd missed. So I clung to the belief that there was always a way to be better, that no matter how well I did, I was still failing in some essential way. As a kid who'd been told from birth that I wasn't good enough, that I was nothing without Jesus, I desperately needed to prove myself, and by myself, first to my teachers and professors, and now to Jeff and my drill sergeants. Jeff is the man that I married in college. When I decided to join the Army, I'd known that I needed to get in shape, and I'd gone a little overboard. I'd quit my pack-a-day smoking habit, to Jeff's delight, and taken up running in the heat of the Texas summer. I wanted not only to be ready, I wanted to be Army regulation perfect. Cut off my curly blonde highlighted hair and threw away my makeup. When I showed up to basic training, I was a wiry, underweight brunette with badly chopped hair and the giant glasses they force recruits to wear for corrective vision, called basic combat glasses, or BCGs, that were so ugly everyone referred to them as birth control glasses. That was fine with me. I didn't need to be attractive. I needed to be strong. Ugly or not, I could do 60 plus push-ups and 80 sit-ups without stopping, and it turned out I could run. Fast. 6 months earlier, I'd never run a mile in my life, but on the first physical fitness test, I ran 2 miles in 13 minutes and change. That was fast for a girl. 2 whole minutes faster than any other girl in basic training. I ran so fast, I ran right into Notoriety. The drill sergeants knew my name. The commander wanted to meet me. And the first sergeant praised me in front of the whole company. I also ran into an angry mob in the girls' bay where we slept. I thought they would have been excited, happy to see a woman praised. One of us running faster than most of the platoon's men. A rising tide lifts all boats, or something. But like in the Children of God, nothing in basic training was about being an individual. Do not stand out. Look like another pawn in the line. Up until the gun went off on race day, I fit the mold and blended into the space I carved for myself. Small and ugly and quiet, nothing to be noticed. A 6-foot-tall girl with long box braids and broad hands balled into meaty fists threatened to punch me if I didn't keep my head down, go slower next time, and stop making her look bad. Someone with stringy blonde hair, patchy skin, and brown broken teeth asked me through holes in her fractured smile if I'd ever been in a street fight, as if she was offering me candy. Cross-legged on her bed, Danielle raised her head and barked out a single command. "Leave her alone, guys." And everyone dispersed. How was she already the leader? Relief washed over me, and I wondered if I'd been wrong about her. Maybe we could be friends after all. "They're right, you know," she said. "You're a bit of a stuck-up asshole." And then the door inside me closed shut again. Her words confirmed what I'd feared 3 weeks earlier, on the first day of basic training. I reminded myself I was not there to make friends, and that the only real friend I have, and would ever have, was myself. So I kept running, not just on the track, but from conflict. My legs carried me out of the room, 1,000 questions bouncing around my brain. Why did she have to hate me too? How could everyone tell I was so different? What was I doing wrong? I turned a corner and then another until I found myself in the same girls' locker room where Danielle and I had first spoken. The unfairness of it all hit me, and I shoved my fist hard into one of the metal lockers. As the pain bloomed in my hand, my anger and hurt faded. It was a relief, a kind of numbness, so I punched the locker again and again. I saw blood on one of my knuckles, but I couldn't feel a thing. If they think I'm a bitch, I thought, I'll at least show them I'm not scared. I wondered what Jeff would think of me. Would he mock me for losing control? Did he have any idea how much easier his path had already been than mine? I punched and punched, my hand pounding against the metal too many times to count, until a drill sergeant appeared and ordered me downstairs. Like the soldier I was becoming, I stood at parade rest while he yelled at me. What was my problem? Didn't I know they were proud of me? Did I want to throw it all away by acting out? As a woman, you'll need to be faster and better than the men. Always. And you'll need to keep your head down. Play the game, he finished his tirade with threadbare advice. Ignore their jealousy. That means you're doing it right. But that wasn't enough. He was missing something. Sure, I had been longing my whole life for people in power to tell me I'm special. My parents, the aunties and uncles, teachers, people I had dated, and drill sergeants like him. But being special had never been the thing that made me feel safe. I stormed back into the room, my hand throbbing and bloody. Not you, I shouted at Danielle from across the room. I can take crap from all these little girls, but not from you. Why her? I'm not sure. Maybe if we'd been allowed to read books, I could have tuned the girls out the way I had in college. But there, with nothing to distract me, I had to feel all of my fear and hurt and longing. Maybe I was scared enough to understand how much I needed someone, a real friend, to get through what seemed impossible on my own. And maybe I was smart enough to realize how special Danielle was. Sharp as hell, a natural leader, driven in a way I'd only seen in myself. The smallest of the entire platoon, but somehow bigger than everyone else. It felt like a punch in my stomach. I didn't want to lose her. For a moment that seemed to last forever, I wondered what she would do. I picked at my cuticles until she walked out of the bay, motioning for me to follow. In the hallway, we lowered ourselves to the cement floor, the cold seeping through the black plasticky shorts from the exercise uniform we wore any time we weren't in fatigues. We were jammed into a doorway, each with our backs against one side of the frame, a place where nobody could surprise us. In the background, we could hear the noise of other girls preparing to bunk down for the night. Soon, the lights would go out. Nobody would bother us, hidden as we were. I asked her if we could start over. I didn't know what I had done to make her hate me, but I wanted to try again. I don't hate you, she told me, but I don't know you. I want to, but you have to let me. We're going to be together for 5 months, here and in officer school. So yeah, let's be friends. Sitting in that doorway, we became friends. She told me how she'd majored in psychology while working on Wall Street to pay her way through Fordham University after dropping out of high school. She'd been to more countries than I had, traveling and volunteering, but not for any religion, just because she liked experiencing the world. She wanted to be a commander of peacekeeping operations for the United Nations, but they required women to have military experience, so she joined the Army to do several years as an officer, and hopefully get some command experience. Everything about her was impressive. Now, she said, I want you to tell me about the children of God. And so I did. Like Jeff, she responded without the inane questions and assumptions I'd braced myself to hear. But she was also different from him. No jockeying to have a bigger story, no competing for larger hurts. Just understanding. Just the desire to see me as I was. We became our own little group, the two of us, still part of the larger platoon, but also separate. For the next 5 months, she was my teacher, my best friend, my confidant, and my protector. She understood that my strangeness came from a lack of knowledge, not animosity. But she also didn't think I was all that strange. With Danielle, who was as American as they come, I learned what it meant to be an American, or at least the kind of American I wanted to be. There were little things like, OMG, Daniella, you don't call it American football when you're in America. And big things like all human beings are worthy of our respect and dignity, even if they are extremely different from us. She showed me how to excel with a humility and grace that allowed space for everyone else to hold their heads up too. I was part of a team again, with someone who had my back, and I realized I'd been missing that for 6 long years. It was Danielle who first broke my heart about the Army. I shouldn't have been shocked based on how much the Army already felt like the children of God. But when she explained Army policy and the female combat ban from the U.S. Justice Department and Congress that limited which roles women could hold in the Army, I was horrified. I kept thinking of my cult training, the world where women were expected to serve, to be handmaids of David, useful but never equal. How is it 2009 and there's an assumption that men are better at anything just for being men? I asked her again and again. How is this even legal? What about equality? But there was no equality in the Army. Women played support, men led, full stop. Every career decision would be determined and limited by our gender. Army culture reinforced these values with sayings like, as a woman, you're either a bitch, a slut, or a D slur for lesbian. We heard it all the time. The drill sergeants called women Jessica Lynch anytime we messed up. I had previously thought she was a badass American hero in Iraq, famous for being the first successful rescue of a prisoner of war since World War II, and the first ever of a woman. I didn't realize the Army blamed her as an ill-prepared woman, someone whose lack of combat readiness, something she'd never been trained for because of the ban, had meant she was the weak link who got good men killed. They warned us again and again, if we weren't perfect in training, we'd repeat the same fate. We understood the underlying implication. Women were the weaker sex and shouldn't be soldiers. It didn't matter how fast I could run or the individual achievements that drove me. The knowledge that I'd never be good enough in the eyes of the Army weighed on me heavier than the duffel bag I'd held up to the sky on my first day. You can get autographed copies of Uncultured at this QR code, and it is also on audio, anywhere you get your books and in the libraries. Check out Uncultured by me.